everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, here's what you need to know. In December of 2021, I quit my job, sold my stuff, moved out of my apartment, and I traveled for all of 2022. I drove 25,000 miles, visited 44 states, 4 Canadian provinces, all just me and my little dog Noodles. So I have a lot of things I can share with you about this trip. But today we're talking about my top 10 favorite things that I ate or drank. Let's get into it. All right, starting the list off with number 10. Number 10 is a place called Swig. And for those of you who know the place, you might be like, really? Top 10? But when I first tried it, I literally went 5 days in a row. So I have to mention it. In Utah, they have tons of these soda shop places. So Swig is the first one I tried, but there are a lot that are similar to it. And essentially it is pop. I'm from the Midwest, so yes, pop. And you can add any kind of flavored syrups. They'll add different kind of creams and pureed fruits, all different kind of variations of that. The first one I tried ended up being my absolute favorite out of all the ones I tried. So my favorite one was Dr. Pepper, vanilla syrup, strawberry puree, and cream of coconut. It is just so good.
Wow, that is really good. This is so bad for you, but it is delicious. Oh my God, I love it. This is so good.
Number 9. This has actually been mentioned on my channel before, but definitely deserves a mention in my top 10 because I tried ice cream pretty much everywhere I went. And this stood out as my favorite flavor from the entire year. When I was in Hilton Head, South Carolina, I had gone to the Salty Dog Cafe and they had a little ice cream shop there. And I tried rosemary cherry chip ice cream. The rosemary was not overwhelming. It was just like the perfect hint of rosemary. There was real cherries in it. The chocolate chips were like the flat chips that's usually in like mint chocolate chip. It was just such a great combination.
This is bomb.
And Salty Dog is one of those places that like rotates their flavors. So like, I don't even know if I can ever have it again, which is really sad. But yeah, out of every ice cream I tried the entire year, that was my absolute favorite flavor. So it definitely needed to be mentioned. Number 8. So surprisingly, South Dakota is on this list a lot. So this is the first mention in South Dakota. Another thing I did a lot of was going to local coffee shops. And so when I was in Spearfish, South Dakota, I went to a little coffee shop called the Green Bean Coffee House. I was there in like July, I think, and they had a seasonal drink called summer chai, which was a vanilla chai with raspberry. Again, I'd go to a lot of little coffee shops. I always get fancy little drinks like that. This is my favorite drink I've ever gotten at a coffee shop ever.
It does smell really good. Wow. That's really, really good. This is so good. Oh my gosh. I wish I could have this again.
Number 7, I went to Palm Springs, California, and one of my friends who lives in Southern California had told me I had to be sure to try a date milkshake when I was there. I learned that dates grow on palm trees. Did you know this? And they grow really well in the Palm Springs area. So I ended up going to a place called Shields. From what I read, it sounds like Shields and the Shields family is who like kind of started the trend of growing date palm trees in Palm Springs and created the date milkshake. They create like a date puree kind of, which they add to the milkshake. So it's not like pieces of dates. It's very much blended.
The date shake is pretty bomb. It's expensive. I mean, it's a pretty big shake, but it was $8. But honestly, probably worth it. It's really good.
Number 6, another one in South Dakota. So when I stayed in Rapid City, South Dakota, I was right next to this restaurant called Colonial House. When looking at the reviews, the main consistent thing was that everyone was saying that their caramel roll or caramel roll was really good. So had to try it. So it's basically like a cinnamon roll, but instead of being like the cinnamon mixture, it is caramel. And I didn't have a utensil with me. The only thing I had in my car with me was a plastic spoon. A plastic spoon literally slid through this roll like butter. This roll was so soft and perfect and just delicious.
Ooh. That went right in. So you know it's soft and wonderful if a spoon just cut it like that. Wow. Yeah, that's good. It's just like perfect, like perfectly made.
Number 5, when I was in LA, one of my friends had recommended Portos, which is a Cuban bakery, and they have literally everything, like dozens of pastries to choose from, tons of fresh bread, full cakes, like everything you could ever want. I ended up getting like 9 or 10 pastries just for myself to try. Everything was just so good, and I felt like it was fairly priced, especially for being like in LA. Everything was good, but I just have to mention my 2 absolute favorite things, which actually happen to be seasonal. So they're known for their potato balls, but in the fall, I was there at the end of October, they have a turkey and gravy potato ball. So the inside was filled with like turkey and gravy, you know, seasonings, maybe a little bit of veggies. That's then surrounded by the mashed potato, and then it's fried. I mean, the regular potato ball was really good also, but the turkey and gravy one, just ridiculous.
It's really good. Potato balls are like awesome.
The other thing I had was a pumpkin Danish. So pumpkin cream cheese in the center, you know, the Danish, the pastry itself was delicious. The cream cheese was good. It was just covered in like caramelized sugar and like caramelized pumpkin seeds. I don't know.
Oh my God. This is so good. This might be one of my favorite pumpkin things I've ever had. Ever. Wow. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah, but everything there was awesome. Those were just my 2 absolute favorite things, had to be mentioned. Number 4. So I had a quick 2-day stop in North Vancouver in Canada, and I was in an area called Deep Cove, and the Airbnb I stayed at had mentioned the famous honey donuts. It's famous in that like celebrities enjoy going there. The day that I arrived, Leanne Rimes was there for her birthday, and they were really good. It's a cake donut, which normally cake donuts are not my favorite. I know people hate this word, but it's the only way to describe it. They were just so moist. Some people described them as being dense, but I liked that part of it. They were just so good. And the crazy thing is, you ask me what donut I want, I'm never gonna choose glazed. I'm never gonna choose plain. I want it covered in chocolate, filled with cream, covered with all the things. I tried multiple flavors there, and my favorite one was the regular plain honey donut, which is absurd. If I went back, I would get the plain honey donut. It was delicious. I would have claimed it to be my favorite donut ever, but keep watching because there's actually a donut that surprisingly ended up beating it. Number 3, my last thing from South Dakota, but again in Rapid City, I went to a place called Mary's Mountain Cookies. They're literally quarter-pound cookies. They are soft and delicious, and they have a bunch of flavors. The first time I went, I got 2 cookies. I asked what were the most popular, and she said s'mores and I believe orange sugar cookie. Both were so good. That's really good. Yeah. I had to try more. So I had gone back a second time that week and got 4 cookies. I got the s'more again. So I think that was like probably my favorite. And that time the girl told me to warm it up before I had it. So and then I tried like, I think like an Oreo cookies and cream sandwich and almond sugar cookie. This is the almond one. Ooh, she thick. She thick. Everything was good. So delicious. I loved it. Highly recommend Mary's Mountain Cookies. Number 2. So when I was in LA, I had multiple people recommend Sidecar donuts. I went there actually shortly after going to Portos for the first time, so I had just tried all these pastries. So I would have loved to try a bunch of different flavors, but I just couldn't. I was full, and so I was like, okay, you can try one donut. And I was trying to figure out what kind to get, and the guy that I was working with was like, since you've never been here, you should just try the butter and salt. And again, I told you, I like chocolate, all the stuff. And honestly, hearing butter and salt, I was like, butter and salt donut? But I was like, you know what? He's recommending it. Not what I would normally get. And I've been trying to try things I wouldn't normally get. So I was like, okay, I can't even describe it. And I must have been so entranced that I literally didn't even film anything. I just have a couple pictures. I only went one time, so I don't know if they always come out this way, but it was given to me warm and fresh. And it just like melted in your mouth. Like, I've got to get back. I've got to have this again. And I have to try the other flavors. That's the only one I got to try. So that's the only thing I can recommend. But just wow. So delicious. And number 1, you made it to the number 1 thing on my list. I was in a little town in British Columbia, Canada called Nelson, and I ended up going to this random Italian place. When I was there, I'm asking for recommendations, and one of the girls working there said she recommended their prawn pizza. And I had never had prawn or shrimp on pizza, and everything else on the pizza I liked. It was pesto, bacon. I like shrimp / prawns. I think they're like slightly different, but basically the same thing. I loved it. It was so good. So good. Everything about it. Like, I'm gonna try to recreate it. Prawn pizza. Who knew? Who knew? So that's it. My top 10 absolute favorite things I tried as I traveled in 2022. Let me know down in the comments if you've tried any of these things or if you would try any of these things. And let me know if you want to see a part 2. I had a lot of good things, so I could definitely add more to this list. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. What are you doing? Hold on. Wait, can you stay there? Sold my stuff. Stop. In December of 2020. Noodles. Just wait. Wait for me. Wait for your cue.